If you've watched the previous two videos in this series, you may suspect I'm up to something having to do with the entire glandular, hormonal, or endocrine system. And I am up to something. What I want to get across is the importance of seeing the systems view of the body and how these parts work together. I'm presenting them separately for better understanding, but they are not so in real life. In the last video, I described how the adrenals get fatigued from working overtime to manage stress. Gluten, in people who are sensitive to it, will cause the body a lot of stress. That was in the first video too. In this video, I'm going to talk about the thyroid and its hormones, as well as the part that blood sugar levels play in gluten sensitivity and adrenal fatigue. In the following short clip, I also sneak the liver in to illustrate what happens to thyroid hormone T3 when there are chronically high levels of cortisol in the body. You'll see that cortisol replaces T3 in the cells. T3's job basically is to give signals to certain cells to perform a function, but under certain conditions is prevented from doing its job. The second clip is a preamble to the explanation which follows at the end of this video, where I'll be tying it all together. If you suspect you have a thyroid problem, I hope these short videos will give you some clear and valuable information. High cortisol levels, gluten sensitivity, a sluggish liver, and wide fluctuations in blood sugar, explained at the end, all contribute to thyroid problems, as you will be able to see in the clips. The liver is the largest gland in the body, probably because it performs many hundreds of important functions. One of its jobs is to convert T4 to T3, the active thyroid hormone, responsible for regulating our metabolism, our body temperature, and our energy. So if the liver is overloaded from the effects of stress, for example, excess cortisol from the adrenals, this is a case of congestion and happens because cortisol also fits in the receptor sites on the liver in the same way T3 does, but doesn't function at all. The thyroid gland is composed of two lobes that bestride the windpipe in front of the neck. The two hormones produced by the thyroid, T4 and T3, the numbers denoting the number of iodine atoms, have different functions. T4 is inactive, circulating in the blood until it is broken down by enzymes to T3, the active thyroid hormone, which enters the cells such as the bones, heart, liver, etc. When T4 is getting low in the blood, the pituitary gland is activated to secrete TSH, also known as thyroid-stimulating hormone. This is the hormone that, when released from the pituitary, tells the thyroid to make more T4 and T3, which again enters the blood. The endocrine system is composed of glands that produce hormones. Hormones are like messengers. They travel to different parts of the body where they have a job to do. As you saw in the first clip, when there are chronically high levels of cortisol from stress, the liver's normal detoxification activities get cut off, at least for a while. When there is too much of the thyroid hormone T3 in circulation, because the liver could not receive it because cortisol has taken T3's place in the liver, the pituitary will not be signaled to produce TSH, which is the thyroid-stimulating hormone, which tells the thyroid to produce more thyroid hormone and ultimately our energy. This is one possible reason why people with hypothyroidism experience great fatigue, but in many cases, it's not a problem with the thyroid gland at all. If you're watching this series because you suspect you have a thyroid problem, hopefully the little clip you just saw will encourage you to find out if the hub of your problem is really a low-functioning thyroid gland or a clogged liver or brought on by stress or gluten sensitivity. You can see from what you have learned in this series why this might be the case. It can only increase the quality of your life to get to the real cause of your symptoms and heal. One sound piece of advice I can give you that hardly anyone can argue is to limit or eliminate completely highly processed foodstuffs. I only half-kiddingly call processed food pre-digested food, since it doesn't take much for your body to turn a refined, highly processed product into sugar. In fact, all carbohydrates are also turned into sugar. And we know stress and cortisol raise blood sugar. If you're gluten sensitive, this adds more stress, and as we learned in the last video, creates more cortisol production, raising blood sugar, and enter insulin, the fat hormone. Insulin's job is to transport the sugar that's in circulation in the blood to the body tissues and organs for their energy needs. Just like T3, insulin may be prevented from dropping off the sugar, but in this case, it's because there's just too much sugar to be processed, and the cells that would have benefited from the energy become resistant, mainly to insulin. Kind of like the scenario we hear about with antibiotic resistance. Too much use and antibiotics become ineffective after a while. The final blow happens when insulin, having no place to go, travels to the liver where it is turned into fat and stored. High cortisol levels contribute to fat around the belly, and thyroid hormone depletion from chronic stress all work to ensure we feel physically tired and mentally foggy all the time. If you have been struggling with weight, fatigue, brain fog, and inflammation, and you've watched the 3 videos so far in this series, you might be feeling a sense of hope. Knowledge is power. In the next video, I discuss what cravings are and why they are so strong. If you've ever gone on a weight loss diet, you know that when you get a craving, it's a battle, and the craving usually wins. Not anymore, now that we are beginning to get the picture. Thanks for joining me. Catch you later.